So the first mobility exercise that we're going to do is actually for the feet. Sometimes your arches, the tops of your feet get a little bit stiff. And so a lot of times I'll just kind of roll, try and straighten my leg and get some movement around through the tops of the toes. Do both sides. You may not be able to get to straight leg right away, and that's okay, but it'll come. So the next exercise is for ankle flexion mobility. A lot of times when we squat, if we don't have good flexion through our ankles, we can put too much weight in our knees or our hips or our low back, and also put some strain on the arches of our feet. So this is a good one. You should be able to do this from about 4 to 6 inches away, starting a little bit close, and then just sliding forward, trying to keep your heel anchored to the ground and having the knee just shoot out straight from the foot. You can go off to the side, inside a little bit, and then just slide back slightly. And just allow that ankle and calf to stretch. I'll do both sides. So this next stretch is for the quads. I've got a beginner and an advanced option for this. This is just a stretch that we always did as kids, but it's been forgotten over the years. Thinking about hips forward and nice and square, and then just bringing the knees down so that they're close together. And the longer that you make that femur, the more you're gonna intensify the stretch from the hip. So we'll do both sides, do this one really quick, same thing, trying to make sure those hips are square. Or the second option is to come down onto the floor and then just spend a little time down here. This is also really good for your ankles, to get that extension through the top of the foot. You can come with your hands over the top of the head, but only do this if you can feel relatively comfortable in this position. So the next stretch, which is one of my favorites, is pigeon pose. It's a yoga pose, and it's great for opening up the hips and the hip flexors. So I'm just gonna come down into a plank, press up, bring that leg up, and then swing through, and then sit back. Once again, we're trying to keep those hips nice and square, and you can either come up nice and tall, or you can come down into a sleeping pigeon. You can also adjust where your foot is. You may find that this is a good spot, or I like a little bit of variety, and I'll swing that leg up, and it becomes a little bit more intense when I bring that leg up and around. So this next one is just a high and a low lunge. This is really great for people that suffer from sciatica or piriformis pain, or just a low back that's tight. So taking one foot up into a high lunge, and then really trying to settle down into the hips, lengthening through that back leg as much as you can, getting a nice stretch to the inside of both thighs. If you feel comfortable on your knee, you can also come down, and then even some rotation work, just spending some time here and what feels right. You can also shift your legs back, just kind of work on lots of variations in that movement. So the next series of exercises is going to be on the roller. Once again, I usually start from the bottom and work my way up. The first one that I'm going to do is just a calf roll, and starting at the base of the ankle, right on the Achilles tendon, and then just going up about 2 inches, spending some time kind of back and forth, maybe a little bit of flexing, and then up a little bit more, little flex, point. And you can push downward onto the roller to increase the intensity, but you don't want it to be excruciating. And then you just go all the way up until you're basically on the back side of the knee. Spend a few minutes doing both legs and just kind of feeling where you're tight in your calves. So next exercise is actually for the shin, and a lot of times if you have any pain in the top of your ankle, top of your foot, especially around the outside of your ankle, the shin muscles, there's several of them in the front that are often the culprits. Can't remember the names of those muscles right now. So you're just going to come down and then roll up and down. And I'm kind of on the outside of my shin muscle. And I'll switch legs in just a second so you can see both angles. And if you have pain in your knee when you do this, all you have to do is just come up a little higher and not bend as much through the knee. Part of the challenge with the roller is kind of figuring out where to put your body when you're doing these things, but with practice it gets a lot easier. So the next one is for the quad, and for basically the inside of your quad muscle, the vastus medialis, and the outside of your quad muscle, kind of moving sort of into the IT band. So you're just going to start out at the base of the thigh, not quite on the knee joint, just a little above it. And then you're just going to work your way up about 2 inches, and then come down about 1 inch. You can move around a little bit here, but most likely you're going to feel it without having to adjust your position a whole lot. Usually I'll come right up the center of the quad into the hip, and then I'll go all the way up to the top of the hip flexor, and then I'll start back down at the bottom again and do a little bit of the inside of the thigh. Into that vasti. Same thing, I'll just go up as high into the groin as I can go. And then the last one that I'll do is on the top of the IT band. So extending the leg out, starting at the base of the quad once more, and then trying to relax the quad as much as possible. And I really like to hold my body up off, so it's not totally excruciating. And then you just go up for 1, down for 1, up for 2, down for 1, up for 2, down for 1, and really try and relax that quad. If that quad is tight, or if you're super tense, you're not going to get any relief out of it. All you're going to get is pain. But we're just trying to get that muscle to kind of squish a little bit underneath the roller. So this one you'll still go all the way up, basically up to the top of the femur, but the most intense spots are usually right in the middle or towards the bottom. So another great exercise for low back pain, piriformis or sciatica problems is rolling the glutes and all the accessory muscles that go around it. So you can take the leg across the knee, rotate onto the hip, and just kind of find that back hip pocket area, kind of the pocket where your jeans would be, and sort of work your way through there. If you feel comfortable, you can extend that leg down and get in a little bit deeper, a little bit lower, and really just finding your tight spots. You may also find that one side is a little tighter than the other. That's totally normal. So this next group of stretches is with the strap, and this is just kind of a whole hip complex that I like to do. So I'm just going to come down and just bring that leg up. So you want to make sure that the leg is nice and straight, and then keeping that heel extended out and the weight of your leg in your hands, you're just going to come up as high as you can. You want to make sure that your hips and your shoulders continue to stay relaxed and even on the floor. And then once you spend some time here, you can extend out to the side and just let that leg fall out. You can mess around a little bit and just figure out what feels good. And then when you're ready after a few minutes, you can come back up to neutral. Once again, make sure that you're nice and extended through that leg. Then you're going to sickle that foot to the inside and then take it across the body. So a lot of times when I see people do this, they'll kind of come here and their hip comes off the floor. And what we really want is to keep that hip grounded and then just a very small lengthening movement as it comes across. You should feel this release all the way around the backside of your hamstring and around the backside of the hip. But it's not unusual to feel it in the calf or the knee first, and then as you get more flexible, the stretch will go higher up the leg. So one of my favorite stretches for keeping good flexibility through the hips, knees, and the ankles all at once is a position in yoga called malasana. There's a great way to start this exercise. The actual position is just coming down into a position where you're nice and tall, shoulders are back as much as you can, and weight is even through the entire foot. If you're not flexible enough to do that, then you can use a box or a wall and get the feet out a little bit more and slide down. And then when it is time to get out of it, all you want to do is just kind of drop to the floor and kick the feet out. Another thing that works really well is if you have a couch, you can sit on the couch, get the feet out, and then slide down here. And then as you get more flexible, coming up, bringing the feet in a little bit, and then just finding your comfortable spot.